So this is part 2 of my recollection of my adventures in China. So if you did not see part 1, you can catch that on YouTube as well. But that explains how I got the seed planted in my heart to go to China. So it was time for me to go, and it was our first trip, my first trip. And I had a friend that worked in the embassy, Wilbur Zaire, in Beijing. So I landed in Beijing and spent a few days there, and I had contacted a few machine companies that were located in Jiangsu province, which is Wuxi. So that was a couple-hour flight, and so I flew down to Wuxi. And there I had some very interesting things. Number one, I was picked up by Wendy Jiang. Now, she worked for a company called Weihua. And when I was picked up, I sat in the back seat with her, and we began to talk a little bit about things. And something came into my mind that I didn't normally think of. And so I said to her, please tell me, she was telling me about her business. Tell me about your business philosophy. So she said, oh, well, nobody's ever asked me that question before. She looked at me and she said, I guess our business philosophy is to sell a lot of machines and make a lot of money. I said, yeah, I think that's pretty common goals for a company. I said, would you like to hear my business philosophy? Now, understand, this is not something that I had planned out, but it was something that just came to me, and I believe was inspired by the Lord. And I said, would you like to know my business philosophy? She said, oh yeah. I said, whoever I meet, whether it's a customer or it's a vendor, I should ask myself a question. How can I make them more successful? If it's a customer, how can my product help them make more money? If it's a vendor, how can I be a blessing to them? And she looked at me and I said, because if that is not my philosophy, the time will come when I must choose to cheat you to make money or to do what is right and good for you. She looked at me and she said, wow, that's an amazing philosophy. I said, do you want to know why I have that philosophy? She said, yeah, why? I said, because I am a Christian businessman. She said, a Christian businessman? What is that? So I began to explain to her what a Christian businessman was. And the interesting thing is, and I found this out later, I'm still friends with Wendy and I still meet her from time to time, but she went, after I left, she started to go to a public church for a year, every Sunday, to try to figure out what is a Christian businessman. So you never know. I think sometimes when these ideas come to us that we haven't thought about and they seem right and they seem apropos, we need to just go for it and just let them come out, because many times it is the catalyst for something better, for something more. And what I spoke out at that time caused Wendy to go on a search that piqued her in, because her interest was piqued, that she had never searched on before. So, what is a Christian businessman, and why do I have that? That's something that I think is very important for us to go. And so I'll tell you a little bit more about my first trip in the next little video. So take care. Don't forget, hit subscribe and the bell if you want to catch some more of these recollections from my adventures in China.